Hi everyone, it is great to see you all again. Today I'm going to answer a really lovely question about politics and working with energy. So I will read the question. At times I feel so enraged by the current administration, yet I also have so much love for family who support it. I have a hard time working with that conflict. Also, so much of the spiritual material I digest emphasizes love that I feel like a failure when I feel hateful towards someone like Trump. It's difficult. First of all, thank you so much for that question. It's a great question that I think a lot of other people can relate to no matter what political situation they are in. It is difficult in any situation where you feel like you want to create something in your world and you believe that some other person or entity is out there stopping you from being able to create what you want to create. So in this situation, you're wanting to create certain events or certain atmosphere in your larger world, in your country maybe, and you feel as if the politicians are stopping that by not doing really what it is that you want them to do. So that is where all hate, and if that hate continues its momentum to get bigger and bigger, eventually like violence and force, that's where all of that comes from, is that feeling of powerlessness, that's what we're really talking about. That's where hate comes from, is that feeling that you cannot create what you want to create. And in the end, it would, if you allow yourself to linger there enough, that feeling of powerlessness causes you to try to force a change in the external world, which is sometimes very temporarily successful, but not ever successful in the long term, because the energy that created that situation is still there. The energy you use to create that situation is still there. So anytime we have that type of situation where you feel someone is stopping you from seeing what you want to see in the world, that is when you take a step back and you look at your own energy and you understand, because that has to be the first thing that happens, is you understand, I am the person that creates what I want to see in my world, and my energy moves out there to create around it. Now, people even that do this work can start to understand that in their personal lives, because we're taught we're in charge of our personal lives. We're taught we're in charge of who our friends are and who our jobs are, or a lot of us have come to understand that we are in charge of those things in our personal lives. And once you get there and you start creating personally, you get into this good space where you're like, wow, I can do this. I can see what I want to see if I focus on what I want to focus on. But what I want to say to you now is that the exact same thing is true for your larger environment. It's all energy. You are just as much the creator of your larger environment, meaning your family and your town and your country, as you are of your inner environment. Now, it's more complicated and it's a larger endeavor to work. It's not really more complicated, but what is a more accurate way of saying it is it takes more momentum and more understanding of how energy works. It's a larger endeavor to create what you want to see in the larger world. And you also have to get a deeper understanding that you really are creating what you see. And I will tell you the belief, this is the belief that's stopping people from understanding that. And it's this misunderstanding that we all live in the same world. We do not all live in the same world. We all live in our own individual worlds energetically that we are creating, which coincide with other people's worlds. So everyone that you look around you right now is obviously living in the same world, but only momentarily. Meaning, you will go on from your energetic center, you will go on to focus on certain things that you see in the world, and you will move forward to see more of that. Everybody around you will choose to focus on whatever they choose to focus on, and they will go on to see more of that. Meaning that people collectively are expanding the world collectively in many different ways. So here we're talking about different realities. You yourself create many different realities depending on what you choose to focus on. And people around you create many different realities depending on what they choose to focus on. So if you look at it from a broader perspective, the world is expanding collectively in many different ways. You are in charge of the reality that you see in your life, and the way that you are in charge of that is what you choose to focus upon and what you choose to put your energy into. Okay? So when you come to that understanding, that automatically takes away anger at other people, because it's not their problem. What you see in your world is not their problem. Now, I'm not saying that they don't hold responsibility for what they do and the actions that they take. They do. They have full responsibility for that. But that is their issue. That's something they have to deal with. It's not something you have to meditate on. And when I say meditate, I mean focus or ruminate upon, because you can do that, but the more that you do that, the more you will see more of that in your own world. So that is where the locus of control comes in. This is about what you want to create. So that's how to get away from that feeling of hatred. That feeling of hatred is about your own sense of powerlessness. So to get out of that, really doesn't matter what that person is doing. It's coming back to a real understanding of your own power and your own creative control in your own life and your larger life. So coming back to that, it's what you choose to focus on is immensely powerful in terms of you seeing more of it in the world. So if you don't like what certain people are doing, you really have two choices. Well, you have three choices. You can look at what other people are doing, meaning other politicians or other people in places where they're creating things, and focus on what they're doing and look at how that is working. And then you will begin to see more of that in your world. Or you can look at aspects of that person. Now, where you are, the person that is asking the question, that's not a place you can go right now. It's not a place that you need to go. You energetically, you're too far from that to take it on and make it work, which is fine. So choose something that you like, that you are seeing, that makes you feel better. And it's on this topic, it happens to do with larger administrations and how they work and what they are creating. So if you can find anything around you on that topic that makes you feel better and focus on that, then you will see more of that in your life, and that will decrease that sense of powerlessness. And so that's where you get into creating what you want to see. And also understanding your own control, like understanding that the other belief that we have as a culture, which holds us back when we focus on that belief, is that we have this belief there are people out there who are at top of different types of organizations that have control over us. And if you talk to people who are on top of those organizations, they will probably tell you they have no control over what is really going on in the organization, or at least being in that position, they understand how little control they really do have. And how much it takes for anything to change, it really is all about an individual movement. So you may not like what is going on over there, but you are a part of some organization. It doesn't matter what it is. It may be your work, it may be a community organization, it may be your family. If you don't have any of those things, it's your body. You are working with a huge number of cells, and that is your organization. So be the type of leader that you want to be in whatever organizations you are in, meaning put your energy and thought and focus into that and create a template for that and focus on that and look around for other people that are doing what you want to do. And that way you will connect to that sense of power and creation again. And in terms of other people, like what you're talking about, your family, if you can get to some place where you understand that they may not want what you want, but they have reasons for wanting what they want, which at the core, while they won't make sense to you, if you look at them from a certain level, if you can go down to the core of their person and understand why they want what they want, then it can be a lot easier to make peace with who they are, even if you don't agree with their ultimate decisions and conclusions. You don't have to agree with any of that. But just understand that they want what they want for their own reasons. For whatever reason they believe that having the things that they want and you don't want is going to bring more happiness to themselves and other people. And they're entitled to want that because that is what everybody wants. Now, what they want to see in the world may be different than what you want to see in the world, but the beauty of the way this world works is they can create what they want and they will move their world into that space if they focus on it. And you will move your world into the space that has what you want to see in it. in your world. And that can both happen. The universe is built that in a way that energy expands in that way. It doesn't mean those people will vanish from your life. What it means is that if they focus on what they want, they will get what they want. And you focus on what you want, you will get what you want. And either the universe will find a way, and it is incredibly talented at this, for that to all exist in the space of one perception of one world, or the probabilities will split up so that there are different versions of that world. And in their version, they're having what you want, and you don't have what you want. And in your version, your reality that you're living, you're having this thing that you want, and they're not having it. Okay? But that is not what has to happen. The whole problem around this is that because of how we grew up, we tend to believe that the world has to be a win-lose situation, that two people cannot get what they want if what they want differs at the same time. And it's just not true. Energy is not that rigid and structured. It's much more flexible than that. I realize that I've talked for a long time, but if you've come to the end of this, I will go on. If you have questions, please ask those questions, and I will go on in future videos and talk about more concrete examples of that, because I know that that is needed. But for time's sake, I have to end here. So thank you all for being here, and I hope to see you at a later date.